Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. And today we want to take a look at Kayvon Thibodeaux. A good day to look at Kayvon Thibodeaux. Every day is a good day. Look at Kayvon Thibodeaux, our 5th overall pick. Still exasperated that we managed to walk away with Kayvon and Evan Neal with the 7th overall pick. I think it was a dream come true. I still think I'm dreaming, Anthony. And before the episode, I was like, I don't even know if I'm alive. I don't know if this is real. I may still be dreaming. I might be in a coma for all I know. We got so lucky. If you're talking about a rebuild, that's how you get it done. And so far, even Mark Glowinski said about Evan Neal, when he gets his hands on you, it's over. The rep is done. He's won. Evan Neal's a powerful offensive tackle. Very excited to see what he can accomplish at the NFL level. And then Kayvon Thibodeaux, arguably the best pass rusher in the entire draft class. We're talking about being a number 1 overall pick a couple months ago. Obviously, ended up at number 5. But he could be much better than Trayvon Walker. He could be better than what was the other guy that was up there?
Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson. He could be better than Aiden Hutchinson. He's a perfect scheme fit for this Giants team at outside linebacker with Drew Wilkins kind of taking over as the OLB coach there. They have Andre Patterson as the defensive line coach, one of the best in football, helped develop Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin. And then you have Wink Martindale, for goodness sake, one of the most aggressive and best defensive coordinators over the past decade in football. So if there's any position for him to succeed, it is with this team. Now, he is wearing the red jersey, and he kind of fell down awkwardly, or somebody landed on his leg a couple of weeks ago. But they're just taking it easy with him. He's running around. He's jumping around, doing athletic things, so I'm not really worried. It seems like Brian Dable is just being cautious with their number 5 overall pick, which I think is totally necessary. But we want to talk about the perfect teammate for Kayvon Thibodeaux. Who's going to force him to elevate his game? Who's going to hold him accountable? We have a name in mind for him. And then we're going to give you some stat projections for Kayvon that we think he can accomplish as a rookie, Anthony. But before we do so, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm great, and I like how you kind of open this up saying that pinch me, I'm dreaming. You can't believe that the Giants landed Kayvon Thibodeaux with the 5th overall pick and Evan Neal with the 7th overall pick, and I feel the same way. In fact, I'm going to go ahead really soon here and buy a Kayvon Thibodeaux jersey. I'm so excited to see him on the Giants, and I think the number 5, super clean. I think he's got, long last name, always looks better on the back of a jersey. With the number 5, it'll just be probably the most popular jersey in MetLife in the next year or two. Did you? That's awesome.
From DHgate, that was $19. Great deal.
very
never
great
buying
deal.
a real NFL jersey is such a ripoff.
Nice, man. Well, we'll have to head over to MetLife sometime this season wearing our Kayvon Thibodeaux jerseys, and maybe we'll do a Thibodeaux jersey meetup. But, man, I'm so excited to see him get on the field. I know he's dealing with the lower body injury. He's wearing the red jersey, but he's on the sideline. He's doing the cycles. He's going to be fine. I really personally believe Brian Dable just doesn't want to rush him out there too soon. I just think he wants to make sure that this prized rookie that they got with the 5th overall pick is just going to take it slow, take it easy. We know he's going to be good. There's not like, oh, we got to get him into the game plan immediately. We got to get him into practice immediately to make sure that he's up to par with the NFL. Dude, he's going to be at least an average edge rusher from day one, whether he practices in the summer or not. But if he practices, it gives him a boost, and it gives him the ability to be that defensive rookie of the year candidate that we think he could be. And I really, truly believe he will be. I think he's going to be a really strong contender for that award. And I even think that I would bet some money that he wins that award, dude, because if you look at the Giants' edge rusher position, he is the star of that show, absolutely. And if you look at the defensive coordinator that they've got in Wink Martindale, there's going to be a lot of blitzing. There's going to be a lot of opportunities where, a tackle and a guard have to double team from a blitzing linebacker, and it just leaves Kayvon Thibodeaux ready off the edge to just come around and get the quarterback. And it's going to inflate his stats. He's going to have a great season. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to see Kayvon Thibodeaux hit the field, and I know you're feeling the same way, Alex. And we'll do some stat projections, but I think I'm going to give him some pretty favorable stat projections towards the end of this video.
Absolutely. I mean, right off the bat, one of the things that Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to experience under Wink Martindale's system is a lot of cleanup sacks, right? Because when you have safeties, linebackers, just overwhelming numbers attacking a quarterback, he's going to try to escape the pocket, especially guys like Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz. They try to escape the pocket. They try to get outside of that tackle zone. And when that happens, you're going to have guys like Kayvon Thibodeaux, Azeez Ojulari, those big interior linemen waiting to collect those sacks. And I think that Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to make a lot of money collecting sacks next year. And, obviously he's on his rookie deal, but I think for the future, those numbers are going to produce themselves naturally. Of course, he has the abilities to just, curate sacks on his own without just having to clean up. He can do it by himself with his length, his bend, his skill set, strength, power. He's got it all, right? He is Drew Wilkins said If you had to make, if Wink Martindale could make an outside linebacker in a lab, it would be Kayvon Thibodeaux. Add in the confidence and charisma he contains, and you have a star in the making. They just have to make sure he stays healthy and everything goes to plan. So hopefully they can do that for him. But I want to talk about one of his teammates, Jihad Ward, a guy coming over from Baltimore, experience with Wink Martindale. He has really taken on a leadership role already, and I think that he's holding some of these guys accountable, specifically Kayvon Thibodeaux. So this is what Ward had to say about him. He said, we drafted him, and he's a special guy for the defense. My job is to get him right. So Kayvon Thibodeaux doing his thing, really trying to bring the energy, and Ward is replicating that. There's a picture of him I'm looking at right now. He's dancing alongside, I think it's Leonard Williams, and it just brings that energy you want on the defensive side. It's really just phenomenal. He went on to say, I'm on him. Make sure he studied the playbook and stuff like that, because I don't want him to play slow. I don't want any of my guys to play slow. That goes for all positions. He sounds like a coach, right? It's actually pretty impressive. He even said he'll definitely be ready, and I can't wait because of the injury that Thibodeaux did sustain, a lower body injury. So he'll be ready to go come training camp, hopefully. Continued on. Everybody has just got to know, handle your position first. When stuff goes left, then you worry about everyone else's position. There's going to be times where there are going to be injuries. So I think that for the most part, what he's saying is very much leadership-esque. I know he's more of a rotational guy. He's a veteran that's going to help supplement injuries, supplement fatigue, kind of just come in there and help at a couple different spots. But it's nice to see that he's taken on this mentorship role for Thibodeaux and really keeping on and make sure he knows the playbook, make sure he's doing everything necessary to be ready for training camp and preseason. So I'm excited, man. Jihad Ward definitely providing the value that we needed out of those veterans to help the rookies, especially a guy with as much talent as Thibodeaux. What is it like, in your opinion, to see a guy is stepping up and helping lead this young player in Kayvon?
I think it's super exciting, and it's exactly what the Giants need. They needed some leadership in that edge rusher room. I mean, they got some young guys there. Kayvon Thibodeaux, we know, world-class talent, but he's young. He's a rookie. Second-year player in Azeez Ojulari, young. Both of them are good leaders, and they're super talented, but they're young. They're not seasoned veterans and experienced players in the NFL, but Jihad Ward is one of those guys. And when you take a look at what Brian Daboll's saying about him, we're praising Jihad Ward right now, and we're talking about the quotes that he had regarding Kayvon Thibodeaux. I love them. He's saying he's on his ass, he's on Kayvon's ass, and he's making sure that he's studying the playbook and he's getting ready to get on the practice field. That's exactly what we need. We need somebody making sure that Kayvon Thibodeaux is studying and holding him accountable. You don't want one of your superstar young rookie players to just kind of assume that they're going to be amazing and then get a harsh wake-up call once they make it to the NFL. That's never what you want to see. You want to make sure that they're taking the time in practice, learning the playbook, and crafting their game to perfection. But then you also take a look at what Brian Daboll's saying about Jihad Ward. He was asked, what did Wink and Drew Wilkins tell you when you were considering signing him? Seems like he's a guy you can always hear on the practice field. What's he added? And Brian Daboll said, he's added what you guys see. He's got constant energy. He's excellent in meetings. I'd say from my experience, not all the time, but when you're a player that comes in as a free agent from another team, it's a little bit harder to lead right away because you are swimming with a new playbook and new surroundings. I'm not saying you're a rookie, but kind of like that. You kind of take a step back and just kind of feel things out. But he kind of jumped right into the deep end. He's got a great personality. He's energetic. I love the way he practices. He's always running to the ball. I'd say he helps out. He's great with like Kayvon and those young guys in the room. He's been a really good addition. It was a good recommendation on those guys' part. So, I mean, that's an awesome quote from head coach Brian Daboll, really just describing the impact that Jihad Ward has on this edge rusher room and really on the defense as a whole during these practices, being a vocal leader, leading by example, and doing everything that the Giants need a veteran free agent who already knows the system, Wink Martindale's system. This is exactly what they need. A veteran who knows the system and can lead with authority on the practice field and off of the practice field. I really like this signing, low-key signing that the Giants made. It was not glamorous, not big money signing, but this is the perfect guy that the Giants needed just to kind of be that leader on the defense. And I wouldn't even be shocked, hearing a quote like this and seeing how Jihad Ward's been performing throughout the training camp or summer so far. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a captain's patch towards the end of the training camp. That would definitely be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome, right? For a guy to come in here and make an impact like that is just tremendous. But let's talk about Kayvon Thibodeaux's stat projections, right? Looking back at last year, Azeez Ojulari, you're talking about a guy who had 49 combined tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 13 quarterback hits, and 8 sacks. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux can beat that, right? He started in 13 games, played in 17 games. Kayvon is immediately your starting outside linebacker alongside Azeez. Let's assume he spends the entire season healthy and he has a full year. I think that he finishes with, and I did tap on Wood, by the way, if in case you're wondering. This is the thing about Thibodeaux. He's better than Azeez Ojulari in terms of a raw prospect, right? He's faster, he's quicker, he's stronger, and he can seal the edge. He's a good run stopper too. He's known for that at Oregon, and he has a vast array of pass rush moves compared to Azeez Ojulari, who really had that rip move down to a T last year, but that was his primary one. Thibodeaux has 4 or 5 that he uses regularly, and that's going to show up throughout the season. So I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is capable of 10 sacks as a rookie. I think he's going to overtake Azeez Ojulari for the rookie sack record for the Giants franchise. LT probably had it, but they weren't recording sacks at the time. Azeez Ojulari earned the right to it in terms of the recording era, but I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to beat him. I think he's going to have 10 sacks next year. I think he's going to have 60 combined tackles. I think he's going to have 16 or 17 quarterback hits and maybe 10 tackles for a loss. If he could start out with those type of numbers as a rookie, you're looking at Micah Parsons as a pass rusher, right? That's kind of what his numbers look like. So I think that it's possible. I think that Wink Martindale's system benefits Kayvon Thibodeaux in terms of being aggressive, sending the blitz, not asking Kayvon to drop back into coverage like Patrick Graham did with some of his outside linebackers last year. We see them do that sometimes. We saw guys like, I don't even remember, Kyler Fackrell, even Azeez every now and then. They drop into like shallow coverage. I think for the most part, they want Kayvon Thibodeaux rushing the passer every down. They don't want him dropping back into coverage because he's not useful there. They want him rushing the passer, aggressive, 1v1s against offensive tackles. So I think 10 sacks is a pretty realistic measurement for Kayvon's rookie season if he can maintain his health. What do you think, Anthony?
I think 10 sacks is definitely a possibility for Kayvon Thibodeaux, but you really take a look at some of the best edge rushers in the NFL and you look at their rookie seasons. Take a look at Chase Young, Nick Bosa, who's the other one I just looked at? Myles Garrett as well. You take a look at those guys, they didn't crack 10 sacks in their rookie season, so if you're placing a bet, you probably want to bet the under on 10 sacks for Kayvon Thibodeaux and say that he probably ends up with closer to what those guys ended up with, which was somewhere around 7.5 to 9. So I'm going to say that Kayvon Thibodeaux ends with 9 sacks, which is a super high metric for a rookie edge rusher anyway. I think he ends up with probably 50 combined tackles and 15 tackles for loss. I think he's going to make an impact in the run defense game just because the way that this defensive scheme works, it's very heavy stopping the run. I mean, Wink Martindale's had one of the best run defenses in the NFL for a few years over with Baltimore, and a lot of that has to do with the placement and the usage of his edge rushers and outside linebackers. So I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is going to get a few tackles for loss in addition to the sacks. So I'm thinking 9 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 50 combined tackles. He probably gets like 25 quarterback hits and probably somewhere close to 40 pressures. I think it's going to be a very productive rookie season for him. I would not be shocked at all to see him crack 10 sacks, but I do think if you're a betting man historically, those top edge rushers that come out rookie season, the really good seasons, it's more like 7.5 to 9 sacks. And so I think that's where Kayvon Thibodeaux ends up landing. But that's always because they're rookies and they're getting a bunch of pressures. They're just not finishing the play into sacks. And then year 2, they usually come out with like a 13 sack performance because they start turning those pressures into sacks. And I think that's what you're going to see from Kayvon Thibodeaux. You're going to see a really good player in year 1, but just wait for year 2, especially in a second year in Wink Martindale's complex defensive system. The Giants add more talent at the linebacker spots and maybe more in the coverage in the secondary, makes more coverage sacks available to Kayvon Thibodeaux. You're talking about a year 2 for Kayvon Thibodeaux. I know I don't want to think too far ahead, but I know when we're talking about the Giants, it's kind of hard not to think further ahead down the road because when you look at their cap space this offseason versus next offseason, right? And you think about the talent that they have now versus what they might have in a year or 2 from now. I mean, you look at 2023 as the potential huge season for Kayvon Thibodeaux where he bursts onto the scene with 15 sacks as a sophomore. That's what I'm seeing. But year 1, I think he gets really close to 10 sacks, ends with 9 sacks, 50 combined tackles, and 15 tackles for loss.
I mean, yeah, that would be tremendous as well. Like you said, year 2 is where we're going to see Kayvon Thibodeaux really take that big step forward. At least we hope so. And given the health maintains and everything looks good, he's going to only grow. And hopefully, he becomes that all-star, pass rusher for us. And he just knocks it out of the park and holds it down. And he's on a rookie contract for 5 years. This is how you rebuild. And if the Giants have to go out and get a new rookie quarterback next year, They're in a good spot because they have multiple positions that cost a lot in free agency locked down, right? Both edge rusher spots with Azeez and Kayvon Thibodeaux locked down. Both tackle spots, Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal, locked down. They have money to spend. They can inject more capital into the offensive line. Hopefully Josh Azudu pans out and John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky. We know he's established. He's a good player. Hopefully, Kadarius Toney maintains his health and Wandale ends up being good. And we have Kenny Galladay for 2 years. This team is not in a bad spot. Don't be too worrisome about the injuries right now, because at the end of the day, Brian Daboll said it yesterday. Like he learned a lot from Buffalo in terms of how to manage injuries. And from what we're seeing so far, it means just keeping them away from situations that can get them re-injured or get them in a bad spot. With your high profile players, make sure they know the system, they know the scheme, and utilize these mandatory mini camps to figure out who's going to be your reserve guys, your depth guys, because that's the most important thing right now, right? We know Kayvon Thibodeaux is starting. We know Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney are starting. But what we don't know is who's going to be our LB2, who's going to be our backup left tackle, who's going to be our backup left guard. What are those guys looking like? So I think that's the priority right now. When training camp comes around and preseason, then we'll get a little bit better of an idea of just getting these guys reps in the system. You can do all of that stuff in a controlled setting. And I think that's ultimately what they're trying to do, and just mitigate injuries and just keep them in shape for when it actually matters, and not overdoing them and physically abusing them before live action actually comes around. So I think that's kind of my full take on the health situation. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinions below, your stat projections for Kayvon Thibodeaux. Let us know if you're going to hit double-digit sacks, what you're thinking. Definitely a lot of skill there. We'll see if it translates to the NFL during his rookie season. But make sure to like and subscribe below to the YouTube channel as always, my friends. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.